We are Gold Ivy, a health company dedicated to simplifying health and wellness. The industry is lacking the honest experience and grit required to overcome the struggle, and we're here to fill that gap.
You decide what works for your daily life and how to transform our lessons into your gold. Join us on the fearless pursuit of self-discovery and growth.
This is Ivy Unleashed,
A Gold Ivy production.
Welcome back. This is Ivy Unleashed, episode number 5. We are so grateful that you guys are here with us. Today we're talking all about one of my favorite topics.
Oh, yes.
Gut health.
Gut health. I have like a little disclaimer. We have a few disclaimers, but this is not an episode dedicated to weight loss or the perfect diet or
What is the perfect diet?
There's no perfect diet.
Right. Okay.
You will never find it.
You will never hear us talking about it.
Or give you this perfect meal plan. You know,
Sorry,
this is not going to happen. Not going to happen. But what we are going to talk about is food. And it's an interesting topic. And basically what I want to kind of start this off with was just some like general recommendations, things that we're always going to say and things that we always try and do with. In general, we're going to be talking about eating lots of whole foods, foods that come from the earth, vegetables, fruits, and staying away from processed food. In general, it's a good idea for anybody. It's good for your health to think about, you know, if I want energy from something, if I'm going to be eating, I should try and nourish my body. So I'm going to have water. Yep. I'm going to have fruit. I'm going to have vegetables. I'm going to have lean protein. Could be from plants. Could be from animals. That's a whole nother debate.
You decide.
But more importantly, we're going to be talking about gut in a few different ways. Mm-hmm. Listening to your gut and feeding your gut.
Fueling.
Yes. Yeah. And the reason why the gut is so important, and people don't realize how important this is 70% of your immune system is housed in your gut. So it's really important to take good care of it. It's really important to think about feeding that gut and taking care of that gut. And not only does it affect your immune system, it helps regulate your blood sugar. It promotes brain health. You know, getting a lot of different foods is important so you get different nutrients. Mm-hmm. And different foods give your body healthy bacteria or help feed the healthy bacteria. And some of those foods are like beans and legumes and fruits, and they're specific things. And we'll be sharing that forever. Mm-hmm. All kinds of like little tips. But in general, we just want you to know that we're talking about you being mindful with your choices, listening to your body when things feel off, when things feel good, when you want to keep things feeling good. And in general, that's what the majority of people want information on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially when you're feeling off. A lot of people don't think to really hone into the gut. I mean, they say listen to your gut for a reason. Mm-hmm. Hippocrates says all disease starts in the gut.
He was around a long time ago.
Yeah. There's a reason that all different countries, right, they don't follow the American standard diet.
Process.
Yep. And they have a lot more energy and a lot less disease. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we can go into it for days. But today we really want to focus on mindful eating in a way that makes you feel good and makes your gut feel good. Mm-hmm. So like Andrea said, 75% of your immune system is in the gut. Well, also 95% of your serotonin is created in the gut. So when your head's off, your gut's off, there is such a mind-body connection.
And serotonin is linked to depression and anxiety. And basically, if you are going to try and boost your mood, you think about serotonin, you think about your gut health.
Yeah.
They're all connected.
Absolutely. So we really want to dive into that with you guys today. Back in episode 3, we really focused on one of Andrea's passions, her passion for exercise. And today we're going to talk about a topic that I spend a majority of my day focusing on, planning, dreading, troubleshooting. And that's really what I can eat that isn't going to ruin my whole day. Mm-hmm. I've spent the last almost 4 years trying to figure out really what my gut is trying to tell me.
Yeah.
And
it's confusing. Your gut's got multiple personalities.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like who's your gut today?
Someone that's pissed. After Thanksgiving, when I didn't even eat any dessert, any gluten, any dairy, And it's still like, nah, girl, not enough.
Ugh, that's got to be so frustrating.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who, struggle with something similar, whether you struggle with IBS or some issue that you're going to the doctor and you can't find an answer. If that's you, this episode is for you.
I can't wait for you to listen to all that's coming.
Yeah, and we just want to make a disclaimer that if something is going on, please, we urge you to seek clinical medical expertise. Go in and talk to a doctor. We just want to share what our experience is with diet and nutrition.
Yes.
And healing foods.
Yes. This podcast is about our personal experience. So if for any reason you feel like a conversation around food could trigger anything that could negatively impact you or your health, you can turn us off. I give you permission. But if you want to listen to our experience in hopes of gaining a few tips or just hearing Brooke's story to give, send some compassion her way, or if you've had a similar experience to bond with her, or if you would like to come on and share your story in hopes that it could do the same thing, let us know. There's lots of ways you can tell us, what you're going through.
Yeah, we started this podcast, Ivy Unleashed, with the purpose of sharing our story, inviting you guys into our journey. We are not the experts, but we are doing the work to find what's working for us in hopes of not only helping us, but helping you guys too. So with that being said, we really want to focus today just kind of like we're saying with my experience around listening to my body, specifically my gut, and giving it what it needs to thrive. So I've spent almost the last 4 years trying to figure out what it's telling me. I've tried so many different things and kind of taking a step back. It all started kind of out of nowhere. I was really bloated and hormonal and struggling with all these different symptoms. Couldn't figure out what it was. Switched a bunch of birth controls, tried a bunch of fiber, different supplements, kept going into the doctor, about a new doctor every month.
Which is not cheap.
No. And in the midst of getting kicked off insurance and trying to be
of college,
a senior in college with no insurance, and
you're financially dependent on yourself.
Yeah. So a lot of stressors, but that's what the doctors I was seeing were using as my diagnosis. They were saying, you're just stressed. You spent the whole summer in Florida. You were traveling. You know what travel does on the body.
Was it a psychologist?
No. No. I had that MD at the end of their name, but that doesn't really.
Anyways, we're not going to be looking for.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great doctors out there, but Brooke has not found a doctor that has taken the time to really dig in and take a full look at all that's going on and how it's interconnected with you. It's always just like, get out of my office as fast as possible.
Yeah, it's I'll write a prescription or try this, come back in a month. Have you tried a food diary? Yes. But basically every doctor I was seeing was just saying, you're just stressed. And it got to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm stressed because I don't feel well. Whatever's going on is causing me stress. So going to multiple different doctors and not getting an answer really brought me to starting a journey on my own and reading, experimenting, talking, connecting with different women. One community specifically was endometriosis, trying to figure out if that was something going on. Spent hundreds of dollars, $300 plus a month for dirt, Chinese herbs to try and figure it out. And ultimately is what led me to doing this and to being a health coach. So it's really been my message in the mess, but it is an ongoing journey. I've tried multiple different things, like I've said, and those include going gluten-free, dairy-free, trying Whole30, eliminating anything that's anti-inflammatory, eliminating anything that's inflammatory, going to an anti-inflammatory diet. I've tried acupuncture, chiropractic. I have tried antidepressants to try and calm my mind, which, like we had said, is directly linked to your stomach, your gut. I did a whole leaky gut protocol, if anyone is familiar with leaky gut. So your intestinal lining, your intestinal epithelium, is only 1 cell thick. So it's good because a lot of nutrients can easily get in, but with inflammation, disease, illness, it can stretch and then toxins can get in. So it's not really medically known in Western medicine. It's really alternative medicine believes that this is the root cause of all disease. And going through all this Western medicine nonsense, I decided to go more the alternative medicine route, looking at really the root cause and what was causing this chronic fatigue, this bloating, hormones, moody, anxiety, depression, IBS, all these things, brain fog. And I went on a bunch of different supplements, cut out a bunch of foods.
Some landing you in the ER.
Yeah.
That's scary. That was really scary.
Yeah, it's just been a roller coaster.
So this started when you're 21?
I had just turned, it was the summer after being 21. I came back to Minnesota. I went to Florida for an internship and came back with a semester to graduate. It's supposed to be the best time of my life. And I couldn't get out of bed. I, all throughout college, was go, go, go. I had 8 AMs. I volunteered, had multiple internships, 2 jobs. Loved life. Loved being the life of the party.
Well, you still are. I don't know how you still are.
I try. But it's hard when your body doesn't want to cooperate. When your mind and your body are doing 2 different things and you can't align them and you're trying so hard. You know, there's a reason why I'm exhausted, and a lot of times I don't give myself that grace because I know what I'm capable of, but my body isn't there. And I have to listen to that, which has taught me to slow down, which is why I'm focusing on building a meditation and mindfulness practice, which we talk about. You know, we really want to open this conversation up for anyone else who's struggling or has found an answer. If there's any topics that you want us to talk about, I'm still trying to figure it out. And there's things that I've learned, things that have worked for me, as far as cutting out gluten and dairy doesn't make me feel 100%, but it makes me feel better. No gluten gives me a lot more energy.
I feel like dairy would be hard to cut out, but I feel like gluten is like hidden in things. And you have to, like, you can kind of guess what dairy's in.
Yeah.
I feel like gluten's a whole nother beast.
Gluten and soy. Soy is really inflammatory, and it's in everything.
How did you feel after Whole30? Because Whole30 is pretty restrictive of cutting out a lot.
It's the best I felt in years, but it's hard. It's not sustainable.
Isn't it like the first week's terrible, and then it gets better, and then it
Yeah.
gets better and better?
Just feel exhausted because you're training your body how to run on fat and not on carbs because you're cutting out carbs. But unlike going keto, you can have all fruits, all veggies. And it really looks at the relationship with food, which is why I did it.
Because there's a journal that comes with it, right? So they talk you through that.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was a lot of work, but the reason that I did it was, so if you go back to episode 3 where we talk about exercise, I was training for a marathon with Andrea, and long story short, in the midst of training, woke up with a bulging vein on my ankle, and it caused a lot of pain, and I'm still out of commission because of it, and that was back in August, and it's now November, almost December. So I couldn't exercise, and I had to figure out what the heck to do, and felt like I had no control. So as I was dealing with this leg pain and also stomach pain and all these other issues, I felt like mentally I needed to give myself some sort of control, some sort of challenge, something to work towards. And I'd heard a lot of good things about Whole30. And when you don't feel good, you're desperate for any solution, any answer. And so I did that. And like I said, it's really about the relationship with food. So you can't weigh yourself the whole time. You can use you can't use the ingredients to make a dessert because you're still relying on that dessert and the sugar rush of, you know, fruits and making your own dessert with ingredients that you can eat on Whole30. So it walks you through a diary of how you're feeling, your symptoms each day. It also walks you through how you should be feeling. So the first week, you kind of crash, you have no energy, and then slowly you start to feel more alive, have more energy, your brain feels clearer, your emotions are more stable, all these things.
So they're like asking you reflective questions throughout the week to have you evaluate your relationship with food, or do you just learn about your relationship with food?
You learn about your relationship. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you have to be so strict with it, and you have to be reflective in the sense of, how did this make me feel? Do I want to feel this way?
I think too, it's so different because most people do Whole30 or something like that to lose
weight.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is such a different experience where you're trying to feel whole. You're trying to feel well. You're trying to feel healed.
Right.
And so it's so different where whenever we talk about food when you aren't sick, you know, this isn't something that I would recommend doing just because, I mean, it's good to evaluate your relationship with food for sure. But if you don't have health issues, there's no reason to completely cut things out or like deprive yourself, you know, because then you get off Whole30 and then it's not
well, and it isn't, it's 30 days.
Right.
It's not supposed to be long term. It's supposed to be so that you can get yourself feeling energetic and really feel how these certain foods, like, because then you slowly reintroduce them. So the point is to see your triggers, your sensitivities. So it is good for a lot of people who are trying to figure that out, and you slowly add them back in after the 30 days, one at a time, which is way harder. Yeah. It's a lot easier said than done. For me, it was because of my sensitivities, but it's also promoting eating whole, real foods.
True.
Which even if you don't have health issues or you're trying to figure out sensitivities, it's still good. A lot of it comes back to eating food that's from the earth versus being processed.
True.
And, you know, there's a lot of ins and outs of it and things that you may think that are good and are from the earth, but are really causing issues like lectins that different doctors talk about in different alternative medicines. So like peppers and apples and things that are covered in skin technically aren't good for you, and histamine intolerance, which can be give yourself an autoimmune response and your body's attacking itself and it doesn't know why, and that could be from spinach or avocados, like all these things that I've learned.
Which is exactly what we're talking about, where food can be so overwhelming to think about all of these things. Like, you've had to think about them and you've had to analyze and learn what they are and how they can affect you. And I think it's good that you've been able to do that to see what's happening to you. But I feel like this can be so overwhelming. Like all of a sudden you can't eat an apple. Like what? You know? And so what I love about health coaching is that we can talk about you specifically, where you're at, and how Whole30 or something may be something that's relevant for you, or it may be completely unnecessary.
Right.
You know? And I think if we bring it back high level, like you're saying, get back to the earth, get back to, in general, these things are really good for you to focus on, and stop over analyzing all of your food choices and just be more mindful and think about, you know, planning a little bit more, prepping a little bit more.
Yep.
Sticking in the produce section, stuff like that. And so it's kind of that tough balance of you as a health coach are talking to people about general stuff, but you've had to dive into histamines and all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah, but like you're saying, and something that, you know, my philosophy in coaching is really, just because it works for someone else doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And it is taking a unique approach to each person, because we have different bodies and different lifestyles, and we're all unique in our own way. Preferences, exactly. And it can be so overwhelming, and I've learned that firsthand. And you need a team when you're dealing with something. Even if you're not dealing with something, you need a doctor, you need friends, you need a partner, you need a coach. Everything, one plays a different part in your life. And if you are struggling with something like this, or in any aspect of your health, having someone to help you break it down and taking it one step at a time and making it not seem so overwhelming is my mission and what I want to do for my clients. Because life is too short. And you can get in a vicious cycle of analyzing every single thing that you do, that you eat. You know, for me, when I get in my head about my stomach and how it's going to react when I go out to dinner, and luckily with quarantine right now, it's been a really good time for me to dive in and cook my own food and be really particular, because we're not drinking, we're not partying. I have that time to not feel bad and feel guilt and shame when, sorry guys, I can't. I feel like crap. And it's hard when that's so not who I am.
Right.
And sitting out. But it's also important to listen to your body, and you want it to thrive in every other area, and there's some things that have to give and take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like it's one thing to go through this when you're like 50. You've got, way older kids and nobody's asking you to go out on the town, and you don't have to turn down all kinds of fun events, or you have to go to them and have a very different perspective.
Well, and it's hard when a lot of people don't understand. Mm-hmm. You go to the doctor and you get a diagnosis, you break your arm, you have Crohn's, colitis, you do a colonoscopy, you get answers, unlike me, who does all the prep for nothing. And then you're trying to explain to people, like, I just don't feel good. Mm-hmm. And it's so frustrating to not be able to understand yourself what is going on, let alone to explain it to other people. And then everyone has their own idea of what you should be doing. Well, have you tried this? Have you tried this?
My friend did this, and it changed everything for them.
And you're like, all right,
Have you tried this, Brooke? Have you tried
Right. It just makes you want to hide.
Yeah, I bet. And something that comes to mind, too, when I think about what you're going through is just the amount of patience you probably have had to learn to wait for the appointment that you have in 3 weeks, or to blow in tubes for how many hours?
Just to get a negative test. To drink a bunch of sugar and then blow in tubes to see if I had SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which based on all the symptoms, I thought for sure, okay, this is it. And that's another thing that's really hard, is getting your hopes up and finding the strength to advocate for yourself. Anyone who can't find out what's going on definitely knows what I'm talking about when you go to doctor and you have everything listed out, all of your symptoms, everything you've been through, and they don't even give you the time of day, or they offer something else. They don't really listen, which is why I really like alternative medicine, because they do listen. What's hard is it's just expensive.
Right.
It's not covered by insurance. So the healthcare system is something that's really tough and gives me a lot of anxiety.
I'm sure. Well, and not only that, like figuring out what's covered under your insurance and looking at policies and calling and being on hold and thinking about money. And I can't even imagine how frustrating that must be. I feel like the answer of like what you actually need is about 15 different doctors to come together, like at Mayo or something, which you've also tried to get in there, but with COVID timing, it was not great, which is terrible, because I feel like you do need different specialists to take a look at you and listen to each other and really sit down to look at how many specialists have you seen now?
Over 40.
Right.
I think my number was at 47, and then
there should be like a max.
2 more.
Like you should have a punch card.
And like once, then everything's covered.
Yes.
Like I did my preventative.
And get some free stuff.
Yeah. Any doctors listening, my phone number is.
Text me, tweet me, Instagram me, Facebook me.
It's expensive and it's time consuming. When you don't feel well and you're trying to find an answer, it's a full-time job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't have time for that. I have a full-time job. We have to take a minute break here to tell you about something delicious and good for you. Please and thank you granola bars, owned by our good friend Britt, are literally named to remind us about manners and to have a little fun with good food. These granola bars are a small seed in a big field of showing each other kindness and respect.
My kids are obsessed with the Golden Rule granola bar, and I start almost every single morning with the Yes Please granola. So good. I pair it with a mix of berries, yogurt, and chia seeds, and it is such a fast, easy, and delicious way to start off my day.
So why please and thank you?
Because they're a reminder of manners, and that it's okay to respect each other, even if we don't agree with each other. Because of the earth, we support our world instead of taking away. Our earth is precious, and they focus on packaging that will eventually become part of the earth. And because of you, you are important, and we need to make sure that we only share with you products made with whole ingredients, jam-packed with nutrients.
Not only do these granola bars remind us of being good, they are good. All of them are gluten-free, most are dairy-free, and they have nut-free and vegan options. In partnership with Gold Ivy, Please and Thank You would love to offer Gold Ivy listeners 10% off when they use our promo code GOLDIVY, one word, on their website, pleasethankyouGranolaBars.com. After each 10 orders that Gold Ivy listeners place, they will gift a free batch to a lucky listener.
So make sure to follow them on Instagram and Facebook too. Just search Please and Thank You Granola Bars. So go ahead, grab these granola bars and granola whenever you want, but make sure to use your manners. Please and thank you.
My struggle is because of it being time consuming and it takes a mental toll, is that I get in these grooves of I'm sick of feeling like this. I want to be way up here and I have the power to get there. I know I can do it. I'm motivated. I believe in myself. I get the courage. I'm in the waiting room. I'm hopeful. I see the doctor. And then it's back to just being so disappointed. And $200 later, still feeling like shit. Excuse my language, but not really. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I seeking help and then that gives me more debt, the amount of medical debt that I have and the stress that brings me. So it's like, okay, what brings me more stress? Not feeling well or being in this much debt and just adding to it and then working extra hard to try and pay off this debt. It's just like this vicious cycle of when do I just go back to being that girl who didn't have to worry about that?
Right. Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't even imagine how you must feel all the time.
Yeah. You know, I said before there's a message in the mess. And I believe that maybe not everything happens for a reason, but there's ivy so that you can get to gold. And, you know, there's a million different ways that you can look at things. And it really takes a team and having people who can just provide empathy and compassion and, you know, not tell me, have you tried this? Have you tried this? And I think for anyone who knows someone who's struggling, it is so important to just let them know that you're there, you know, not trying to find the solution and just being absolutely present with them and crying with them when you need to, when they need to. But also the simple question of what pain can I carry for you today?
Yeah.
Is something that Dave Hollis was interviewing someone and said, and it really spoke to me. And being compassionate and empathetic for someone when you have no idea what they're going through.
And when you look like you, when you're this beautiful, put together, through your pain have been so energetic. I know you don't feel it, but I think the misconception is you've got it all together. Oh, you don't feel good. But like, if you can look like that and you can work the hours you work and you can be a go-getter and you can start up a company and you can have all kinds of advice for people and truly provide gold for people with your perception on life and how you do grab life by the horns and you do take care of yourself on your own and people look up to you and they see you put together and they truly don't believe that there's no way you could feel the way that you're saying, you know, and I think that's so hard because you can't assume how anybody feels ever, physically or emotionally. You can't assume. You don't know. And
you don't know what anyone is going through unless you take the time to ask and to genuinely care, which is easier said than done.
I think that's a message in the mess too. I mean, for people that, you know, maybe your partner's sick, maybe your child is sick, maybe your parent's sick, and maybe it's exhausting to be their caretaker or their person, but they need you and they need you to listen and care because you are their person.
Right.
And I'm sure there is a whole way of dealing and navigating that type of relationship. But I think if you're not that person's person outside of that you just can't assume how someone's feeling and believe them when they do tell you.
Yeah. I think going back to what you're saying with you don't know what someone's going through, especially when they look like they have it all together. You know, a lot of people are dealing with invisible illnesses. Endometriosis, for example, is one, and all these things that are going on in the inside and brain fog and fatigue. And for doctors just to say, you're stressed. You know, I think there's a lot of really great doctors out there, but a lot lack the compassion and the belief. And it causes you to have to be an advocate for yourself, which it's really hard to advocate for yourself when you don't feel well. And then you're trying to remember everything you've done, every step that you've taken. And, you know, when
keep track of all your charts of what you have been tested
right.
for. And
well, do you have your records? And I'm like, Well, was I going to know 4 years ago that 4 years later I would still be dealing with this? No. And then you have a lot of shame around it because it is your health and I should have did this. Maybe if I would have taken better care, better track, I would have an answer. But ultimately you do the best you can and you keep pushing because you don't really have any other option.
Well, I hope you're proud of yourself for all of the measures you've taken. I mean, I know the books that you read and I know the podcasts you listen to, and I know you pump your headphones full of positivity. And look, like, I feel like you're desperately searching for any nugget in anything. And I just think that is such a strength of yours that you will listen to anything for like an hour to find one sentence that could speak to you to get you through that day or to get you through that week or to get you to your next doctor appointment, because I know that that's work for you.
Yeah, which is exactly why I want to do this. And I hope that we can provide that nugget for someone who is really struggling and, you know, maybe just needs a fresh perspective or can listen to us and be like, okay, they don't have it all together, but they're trying. And I resonate with them.
Just doing your best to provide a life for yourself that's true for you, and the struggle that goes along with that when you don't feel well is a message in itself. And I'm glad that you're sharing your story, because so many people have these invisible illnesses and a lot of people don't have answers, and a lot of people are hearing the same answers you're hearing from doctors. And I don't know how to create a community out of that, but I hope that we do. And I hope that you can come together and share the information that you do have, or the resources that you do have, or someone that has had a similar experience can be like, hey, I just started drinking kombucha and I feel like this is the answer to life, you know, which kombucha is also great.
I'm doing yoga.
Kombucha is also great for your gut health, everybody.
Yeah, no, but with that being said, you know, that is a part of our mission, is to bring people together and to share stories and share answers, to help each other. And there's a reason why you can connect with us a million different ways on our website, on social media. We want to know, we want to hear from you guys.
Absolutely.
Because it's not our show. We're sharing our stories, but it truly takes a village.
Yeah, and your story's not over. And we're going to be sharing what Brooke's trying, what she's going through, what she's learning, and what's not working, and the resources that she's utilized. And hopefully it can help someone. And if you have resources you can share with her, that would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I just really want everyone to know, anyone who's listening and struggling, that what you're feeling is real. Any symptom you're having, if you're just feeling off, you know your body better than anyone. And you deserve to feel your best and to have answers. And unfortunately, it's not always easy finding them, but it doesn't mean that they're not out there.
Right.
And it looks different for everyone. And on the days that you feel like you can't keep going, there are places and people that you can turn to. You belong here and you matter, and there is help.
And if someone is not helpful, if someone is tearing you down, they are not your person.
You don't have to listen.
No.
To anything that you don't
we'll be your
want
person.
To believe.
We'll be your person. We will listen to you.
Yes. Yes. And when you're struggling and you can't find the answer, it takes a mental toll. And I understand and I hear you. And I want you to know that there is help out there. Whether that's what you're following on social media, whether you're not ready to ask for help, but there's always something that you can do. There's always a next step. Something that I want to share that I've been working on, that although I don't have the answer to why everything I eat upsets my stomach and why I have brain fog and I'm dealing with debilitating fatigue, is the vagus nerve.
Vagus nerve.
And
I want to hear about the vagus nerve.
And the power that it has. So the vagus nerve is the nerve that communicates our digestive tract, our stomach, to our brain, sends its signals. And it is governed by our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest, right? So we have our sympathetic nervous system, our parasympathetic, our fight or flight, or our rest and digest. And when you don't feel well, like we've talked about, your gut and your head are connected. And I've never dealt with depression or anxiety before, But dealing with this for 4 years, it's something that I'm really dealing with right now and working through. I'm getting help for. And the vagus nerve can be activated by some simple things, some things that I've tried and I've had luck with, and it's something that I want to share with you guys. So not only does deep breathing and meditating help, but there's some interesting tips, some weird nuggets.
Oh, I can't wait. I don't even know if I know what you're about to say.
That my acupuncturist has shared with me. And it's 2 things. Gargling.
What?
Yep. Gargling. When you gargle, you activate your vagus nerve. And you tell your brain that you're okay.
What?
It's time to rest and it's time to digest.
Why haven't you told me this before?
Because your tummy is a freaking champion. So try it. Second thing, even weirder than gargling.
Oh.
All right. So you pick a spot to stare at. So say I'm staring at you, Dre. Okay. And you slowly walk back and you just shake your head no. And you say it out loud. No.
I move back and I say no, or you say no?
Well, the person who's trying to get to resting and digesting.
Okay.
So me.
You walk backwards from me saying
so my
no,
acupuncturist, she is also a Chinese medicine doctor, and she said go out in nature. Nature is very healing, has a really great healing powers, and she said go outside, stare at a tree. So I'm picturing myself. I was walking around Lake Calhoun, and I'm like, I can't do it.
We'll go to a park reserve out where
no one's around.
Yes.
So if
there's 40,000 people at Lake Calhoun at all times.
Yeah. So, but just some funny, interesting tips.
Hold on. Okay, you're walking
measures
backwards.
I've tried.
You're shaking your head no. You're saying no out loud.
Yeah.
And this does what?
It activates your vagus nerve and tells your brain that I'm okay. Everything's okay. It calms.
I'm going to try it just to.
Well, think about it. When you are anxious and you're working yourself up and thoughts are going a mile a minute, anxiety is going, and your sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight. I'm in trouble. Mm-hmm. It's trying to protect you, even though you are absolutely fine. Mm-hmm. And so you have to do something that triggers your brain to say, I'm okay. It's a cue. And it sounds crazy, but I just wanted to share with you guys that there are so many different things you can do other than medication.
That's so interesting.
Things that you can try on your own. Look it up. Let me know.
Let's try a bunch of stuff and share it with everyone just to see. And
I'll put it on TikTok.
Yeah, let's do TikTok.
All these cute videos of girls, and it'll be me gurgling and shaking my head.
Classy, sassy. What is it?
Moody. So, but look into the vagus nerve. It's something that I had no idea what it was. I knew about the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, but I didn't know what the heck you want to go to Vegas? I'll go to Vegas.
Yeah. Not right now.
Not right now. But something to look into. So if there's anything I can leave you guys with, there's always something you can do. It may be crazy as hell,
but we're going to try it.
Because we deserve to have an answer.
And I got you. You need to just tell me what you need from me, and I will check on you, and you can feel like total crap and be honest with how you're feeling. You don't ever have to hide that with me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I want to share with everyone, too, that something that's important to us is to think about what's healing, to think about different ideas. We're all about trying new things. Different things.
If you can't tell.
Right. I mean, you can't, really you think you know all the answers to life? Come on. No one does. No. And if you think you do, this is not a podcast for you, because we like to try different things, and we like to think about what's healing and what's good and what's, maybe something you haven't thought of before, or maybe a food that you've tried, but you want a different recipe. And so something that we want to do every week are provide healing foods for you. Mm-hmm. So we'll have a picture of the food, tell you what it does for the body, tips on how to cook it, throw in a recipe, different things like that, so that you can see, maybe something that you want to try. When you're in the produce section, grab a totally different vegetable. You don't even know how to cook it. We'll give some tips on that. And then we're also going to have different experts on the show. We might have a dietitian that talks more about Whole30, or talks about different ways to think of food, or, give you a different perspective on our relationship with food.
Yeah. I was going to say, want to make it known that it's important to have a positive relationship with food. There isn't a one size fits all when it comes with diet and nutrition. And we want to provide a wide variety of different tips, different people. We want to give you access to all different types of minds so that there is something that can help everyone.
And just a reminder again, we would love you to share your experience with us too.
Yeah. You can find us on Gold Ivy Health Co. at Gold Ivy Health Co. on Instagram. We'll be on TikTok, Twitter, all the social channels. Our name is Gold Ivy Health Co. So please reach out. Join the Ivy League for our weekly blog and newsletter. If you are listening to this in the car, don't have a chance to take notes, know that if you join the Ivy League, we'll send it to you every week. You can get those little nuggets that we're sharing, and you can save them for, when you do need them.
Yep. All right. Well, now it's time for our 3 gold stars.
All right. Number 1, just because it worked for someone doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone. It's important to experiment with information you find to see what truly works best for you and what your body needs to thrive.
2, eat whole, real foods. Try to incorporate a salad or a heavy veggie meal 5 times a week.
And number 3, listen to your body and how it feels after what you eat. Start a food journal. Hone in and ask yourself how you feel. Be reflective. All right, up next, unleashing Ivy.
Brooke, what's one thing you do to recenter your body with your mind?
That's a good question. I'm thinking about when I don't feel well, what I do. Because if I'm feeling well, I would say meditate. But it's really hard to meditate when you don't feel well. And that's something that I am trying to work through and practicing. So when I don't feel well, something I do to recenter my body and my mind is take some deep breaths and ask myself how I'm feeling and being true to what I'm experiencing. Up until recently, I have tried a million other things in regards to telling myself that I am fine and trying to be positive with it. And if you listen to episode 4 on Mindset with Kara Hatch, she talks all about being true to how you're feeling and how healing and powerful that truly is. So I would say to recenter my body and my mind is to be fully honest with how I'm feeling in the moment.
All right.
All right, next question. Andrea, when you're really struggling with gut health, what's one thing that steers you in a positive direction?
I like to think about what foods help with your gut. Like not just, eating fruits and vegetables. I mean, that is something that's great. And so what I typically do is use kombucha as something that I get. When I'm in Target, I'm like, you know what? My stomach's been feeling a little off this week. Most of the time I try and grab one. They're expensive though. So I try to incorporate one each time I go. Otherwise, I do think about foods that are good for your gut health. And so red wine is actually pretty good for your gut health. Did you know that?
Hell yeah. Except maybe not my gut, but I like to tell myself that.
Yeah, just a little bit. Green tea, almonds, onions, blueberries, broccoli.
Probiotics. There's a lot of great probiotic supplements out there too.
Yep. So that's what I do when my gut health feels off. All right. Last one. Brooke, what's one thing you wish you would have known sooner about gut health?
That it's not normal to feel bloated after everything you eat.
Yeah, for sure.
And that there are answers. It's just hard as hell to find them.
All right. And for our last segment today, your piece of gold.
Today's piece of gold comes from Marta Valverde. Listen to your body. Nourish it accordingly.
This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold.